Hi, Silver Lavender Dragon here. A lot of y'all might recognize me from the interview video I did with Buck Angel, which in turn I will introduce to you who I truly am. My name is Rory Sloan, and this isn't my first time on YouTube. I've had several other YouTube channels. Um, I've tried to become a content creator in the past with those past channels, but I've always been self-conscious um, about my voice because, as you can see, my Adam's apple is underdeveloped. I'm a full-blown male. I was born male, but for some reason, my Adam's apple never really developed the little hump in the throat. Maybe my throat's too fat, so maybe that's why you can't really see it. So maybe if I lose weight, maybe you'll be able to see it. um, but that's actually also why my voice sounds like it does. I've always been self-conscious about my voice. I never even really uh, liked listening to my voice because it sounded like it. I sounded like I was a little kid to myself. Um, it was even hard for me to actually watch this video because of how I sounded. Um, so please take into account I sound like this because it's just how my voice is. I am a 40-year-old man. Um, and if you actually saw the pictures at the beginning of the video, um, I am wanting to talk about Charlie Kirk and what happened to him, uh, and express my condolences to his family, to his wife, to his two small children, and to his mother and father, because Charlie Kirk didn't deserve what he got. I will be showing a I will be sharing the video from Fox of when they announced that they have arrested the shooter. And if any of you have already seen it, y'all, I will put a timestamp uh, in the corner and in the description below, and you can skip the press conference entirely to the rest of the video. Um, but to that end, I want to start by talking a little bit about Charlie Kirk. And he was a great man. I enjoyed his content. I enjoyed watching his videos of him going to college and university campuses, engaging with the students, of debating. When they say that his speech was violent speech and hate speech and all that, they were lying. He did nothing of the sort. And I will not share any of the toxic rhetoric from the extreme left of them celebrating his death, because that's what they want. They want us to see them celebrating, and basically casting threats to the rest of us who lean right and who are conservative, because they hate who we are. And I am not going to give them attention. I am not going to give even the mainstream media of MSNBC any clout either, because, or CNN for that matter, because they're toxic as well. The only main media that I'm going to share will be from Fox News, because I respect what Fox News has to say, and they do not spread negativity, and they actually stick to the facts, and they don't sugarcoat anything. Now, I've seen and I've heard of what people have been wanting to do to the shooter, and I actually would say, would Charlie Kirk actually approve of what we would actually want to do to him? Charlie Kirk was a very God-living man, and I believe that he is looking down on us from heaven, and he would not approve of what we are saying about the person who actually shot him. Jesus said, and I quote, "I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Therefore the kingdom of heaven is like a certain king who wants to settle accounts with his servants. And when he had begun to settle accounts, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. But as he was not able to pay, his master commanded that he be sold, with his wife and children, and all that he had, and that payment be made. The servant therefore fell down before him, saying, Master, I have patience with me. I will pay you all. Then the master of the servant was moved with compassion, released him, and forgave him the debt." Now, this is actually of forgiving a debt, but I will be using this to clarify of what should be done about the shooter. Okay, but that servant went out and found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii, and he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me what you owe. And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and begged him, saying, Have patience with me, I will pay you all. And he would not, but went and threw him into prison till he should pay the debt. Then his fellow servants saw what he had done. They were very grieved, and came and told their master all that had been done. Then his master, after he had called him, said to him, You wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Should you not also have had compassion on your fellow servant, just as I had pity on you? And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that was due to him. So my heavenly Father also will do to you, for each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. And also it actually would say, let me look for the uh, verse here. I think it's Matthew um, 14, I think. Um, okay, where is it? It's actually really hard for me to find these verses sometimes. Um, where is it? Okay. It was okay. It was still in 18. um, dealings with a sinning brother. Moreover, if your brother sins against you, go and tell him his faults between you and him alone. If he hears you, he has gained. You have gained your brother. But if he will not hear you, take with you one or two more, that by the mouth or two or three witnesses every word may be established. No, I don't think that was the one. But anyways, I was trying to look for. He said that he basically was telling his disciples and the people that he was feeding fish and water to, of that we were told an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But in truth, if one strikes us on one cheek, we should turn to him the other. Meaning, evil, committing evil, committing an evil act to subdue another evil act won't win anything. Basically, with that said, it's you fight fire with fire, you lose. And from what Charlie Kirk always taught was, when the conversation stops, that's when violence ensues. And that's why we need to keep the conversation going. That's why we need to make sure that we don't go silent so that then violence doesn't ensue. Because violence will only create more violence. And I actually would say there has been enough bloodshed in the last few weeks. Now we have Charlie Kirk, who tragically died in that University Square. And a couple weeks ago, we had that trans shooter that shot up that Catholic school and shot at children, killing two innocent little kids in the process. When will it end? We all need to come together. I know that the extreme left actually will hate me for my views, so I know that will actually paint a target on my back. But I will tell you the truth. There's already a target on my back because I'm a detransitioner. For me to actually have left the transgender community, all because I know I was woken up to realize that I'm not a woman and that I am a man and that I was born a man and that I have XY chromosomes, no matter what goes in my head, I have a target on my back. Thanks to those transgender activists. Those transgender activists do not like detransitioners like me. And if they actually ever found out, they would probably kill me. And rightly so. So, in other words, I am not afraid to actually speak up anymore and actually carry on the torch that Charlie Kirk lit to try and actually keep people talking and to try and actually bring younger people into our government, because we need more younger minds to take those seats to help our country move forward instead of die. We need to keep the democracy. We don't want to actually go to socialism. Our founding fathers wanted a free country, a free market of people exchanging ideas, even if one disagrees with another, to come to an actual compromise of what y'all do agree on. That's all. That's all they were asking for. But now, from what happened on Wednesday with Charlie, we'll never be able to see any more of his debates. That shooter, he took away a father from a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And for what? All just because he didn't like what Charlie had to say? That's no excuse for violence. Charlie never said anything that would incite violence. He was always talking the truth, and he gave a platform to those students. He would actually just sit there and let the student talk to him, telling them to prove him wrong. And if they couldn't prove him wrong, he actually helps them understand. That's what his whole thing was. America Comeback was his whole brand for TP USA, Turning Point USA. And we need Turning Point USA more than ever. And to his wife, Erica, I am so sorry that this has happened to you. No wife deserves to lose their husband in this manner, like what you did. When I when I heard of what happened to your husband, I broke down and I cried. And I'm still heartbroken to this day. I enjoyed watching your husband's videos. He always brought light to my life. You are always in my prayers. And I pray for you. I pray for the best for you. When will the violence end? No one deserves this. No one deserves what happened to Charlie. With that said, I think it's time to show the press conference. Like I said, if you've already seen it, I will have a timestamp down below and you can skip it.
FBI Director Kash Patel and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, Lieutenant Governor Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact named Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this question mark? Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist!" exclamation point, "Catch!" exclamation point. Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We're grateful for everyone who worked together in such a short amount of time to find this person and to bring justice. I want to thank the public who has been so engaged, reviewing videos, helping us with sending in tips, and helping us get to this point. I want to thank the family members of Tyler Robinson who did the right thing in this case and were able to bring him into to law enforcement as well. I especially want to thank the family of Charlie Kirk, Erica, Charlie's parents, his children.
Be right back.
I want us to be thinking of them as we bring justice in this case. They will be involved in that justice. We will be working very closely with them as we move through this process as well. This is a very sad day for our country, a terrible day for the state of Utah, but I'm grateful that at this moment we have an opportunity to bring closure to this very dark chapter in our nation's history. With that, I will now turn the microphone over to the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel.
Thank you, Governor. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. The FBI and our partners are proud to stand here today together to bring justice to the family of Charlie Kirk and honor his memory. I want to express my deep gratitude to President Trump, the Vice President, and the entire White House who have been so incredibly supportive with both resources and just personally to the FBI as a team. They had our backs the entire way, and I just want to express my gratitude for giving us the resources we need to operate in this space to bring this sort of justice at this sort of speed. In 33 hours, we have made historic progress for Charlie. Governor Cox, our partnership has been absolutely incredible these last few days. Our partnership will endure. Your state and local partners, your sheriffs, your DPS community has been unbelievably impressive in the hardest of times. And a case like this cannot be solved, cannot be brought without partnering with your state and local authorities. The FBI has a certain role to play, and we will play that role, and we will lead out for the federal government. But Governor Cox, we are so grateful for your state partnership that led out on this investigation. A little bit of the timeline. Charlie was shot at 12:23 p.m. on Wednesday. The first FBI agents arrived on scene in 16 minutes with chiefs of police at 12:39 and secured the scene. The FBI immediately launched fixed-wing assets. We utilized these assets to transport personnel, specialty technicians, hostage rescue teams. We also utilized these assets to go back and forth from the East Coast and here in Utah to transport forensic evidence and other evidence that will be analyzed and is being analyzed at our FBI laboratories in Quantico and other laboratories, including the ATF. At my direction, the FBI released the first set of FBI photos of the suspect at 10 a.m. local time on 9/11. Then, shortly thereafter, the FBI reward of $100,000 was released at 10:45 a.m. local. Myself and Deputy Director Bongino arrived on the scene at approximately 5:30 p.m. on 9/11. The governor led a press conference last night at approximately 8 p.m., where at my direction, the FBI released a never-before-seen video of the suspect. We also released new images to the public of the suspect. And just last night, the suspect was taken into custody at 10 p.m. local time. In less than 36 hours, 33 to be precise, thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period. And I want to highlight what Governor Cox said. This would not have been possible without you, the media, and you, the public. That's why we went so public, so fast, and we're so transparent, and we're committed to that transparency. The crime scene, just a little bit there. It is a large crime scene. State and local authorities, along with federal authorities, processed that crime scene quickly. And I even had the ability to walk through that crime scene and walk through the steps the suspect took to learn more about what was needed and what resources we needed to bear to create a full picture for the FBI and leadership back in Washington. Furthermore, thankfully to state and local partners, forensic evidence has been seized and continues to be garnered. Forensic evidence has already been evaluated at FBI laboratories in Quantico and state and local authorities here. We will continue to process evidence as we see it, as we collect it, and we will continue to deliver to Governor Cox and his team. Last night, we had a total of approximately 7,000 leads. As of this morning, thanks to your great work, we have over 11,000 leads that were called in to the FBI. And we are running out every single lead that we can. Every one of those leads will be run out. The arrest is a testament to the dedication of good law enforcement being great and partnerships in law enforcement, which I've tried to highlight as my tenure as the director of the FBI. There is no better relationship for law enforcement than the FBI to partner with state and local authorities, and you've seen it here in these last few days. The FBI Salt Lake field office, along with our offices in LA, Phoenix, Denver, San Antonio, Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, our headquarters component in Quantico, all participate in the FBI. I want to express my deep gratitude to the employees of the FBI, the men and women, the evidence response team tacticians, the special operators, the agents, the support staff. You have done monumental work in historic time when the public, who had a right to demand such an expeditious solving of an investigation, the FBI answered that call diligently, critically important to our nation, and we delivered. And I'm proud to be their leader, and I'm proud to be the director of the FBI. This is very much an ongoing investigation, as the governor said, and we will continue to work with state and local authorities to develop the investigation, to provide them the evidence they need for their ongoing prosecutions, and we will be here to answer every call they absolutely have, as long as it takes, for as long as we need to find and apprehend whatever suspects were involved in this crime. Lastly, to my friend Charlie Kirk, rest now, brother. We have the watch, and I'll see you in Valhalla.
Thank you, and good morning. I would just like to take a few minutes as the sheriff to express my gratitude for everybody who has played a part in this investigation. As you know, it's been a vast, a complicated, and a very, very fast-paced investigation. You're looking at people standing up here who are running on, if they got an hour's sleep in the last couple of days, they're probably lucky. It has been very taxing. It has been so impressive, speaking on behalf of the local law enforcement, to see the cooperation that we've seen in this type of case. Across the state, sheriffs, chiefs, our state partners have stepped up and have come to the call on anything that we needed. Our county chiefs have been phenomenal. Our Utah County Attorney, Jeff Gray, who's standing up here with us, has been phenomenal in leading us through this investigation. I would like to thank the federal government for their resources, their assets. Our local team here, our FBI team, has been extraordinary in helping us work through this and bring this person to justice. Most of all, I would like to thank the public, and specifically, I would like to thank the public who turned to prayers and who turned to positiveness for us. I would like to thank them on behalf of the law enforcement community, because we needed those prayers That's what we needed to get through this. We needed your support, and you gave it to us. We needed your patience, and you gave it to us. And I would like to thank you for the Kirk family, because that's what they need, is your support and your prayers, and that will get us through all of this. So thank you, everybody, for everybody that have stepped up. We've had such a phenomenal response to this. Thank you.
I also want to give a special thanks to the Attorney General and the Department of Justice. Their unwavering support and their commitment to justice is shown true here. And without AG Bondi and Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche and the resources they brought to bear, we would not have been able to complete our mission. And I just want to say special thanks. It's an honor to be a part of the Department of Justice.
Thank you again to our incredible law enforcement team who has worked so hard. Sheriff, I got a solid 90 minutes last night, so I'm probably the most well-rested person up here. Ladies and gentlemen, I get the microphone, so I hope you'll permit me a moment just to share a few more thoughts about where we are and how we got here, and maybe a little bit of where we go from here. I don't want to get too preachy, but I think it's important that we, with eyes wide open, understand what's happening in our country today. I've heard people say, well, why are we so invested in this? There's violence happening all across our country, and violence is tragic everywhere. And every life taken is a child of God who deserves our love and respect and dignity. This is certainly about the tragic death, political assassination of Charlie Kirk. But it is also much bigger than an attack on an individual. It is an attack on all of us. It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals. This cuts to the very foundation of who we are, of who we have been, and who we could be in better times. Political violence is different than any other type of violence for lots of different reasons. One, because in the very act that Charlie championed of expression, that freedom of expression that is enshrined in our founding documents, in having his life taken in that very act, makes it more difficult for people to feel like they can share their ideas, that they can speak freely. We will never be able to solve all the other problems, including the violence problems that people are worried about, if we can't have a clash of ideas safely and securely. Especially those ideas with which you disagree. That's why this matters so much. Over the last 48 hours, I have been as angry as I have ever been, as sad as I have ever been. And it was, as anger pushed me to the brink, it was actually Charlie's words that pulled me back. I'd like to share some of those. And specifically right now, if I could, I need to talk to the young people in our state, in my state, and all across the country. As President Trump reminded me, he said, you know who really loved Charlie? The youths. And he's right. Young people loved Charlie, and young people hated Charlie. And Charlie went into those places anyway. And these are the words that have helped me. Charlie said, when people stop talking, that's when you get violence. He said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. The only way out of the labyrinth of suffering is to forgive. Welcome without judgment, love without condition, forgive without limit. He said, always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. A few months ago, I referenced this last night. Charlie posted to social media, when things are moving very fast and people are losing their minds, it's important to stay grounded. Turn off your phone, read scripture, spend time with friends, and remember, internet fury is not real life. It's going to be okay. He again said, when you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to commit violence. He said, what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have a reasonable agreement, where violence is not an option. Now, again, to my young friends out there, you are inheriting a country where politics feels like rage. It feels like rage is the only option. But through those words, we have a reminder that we can choose a different path. Your generation has an opportunity to build a culture that is very different than what we are suffering through right now. Not by pretending differences don't matter, but by embracing our differences and having those hard conversations. I think we need more moral clarity right now. I hear all the time that words are violence. Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here. And that person is now in custody and will be charged soon and will be held accountable. And yet, all of us have an opportunity right now to do something different. I want to thank my fellow Utahns. This bad stuff happens. For 33 hours, I was praying that if this had to happen here, that it wouldn't be one of us. That somebody drove from another state, somebody came from another country. Sadly, that prayer was not answered the way I had hoped for, just because I thought it would make it easier on us if we could just say, hey, we don't do that here. And indeed, Utah is a special place. We lead the nation in charitable giving. We lead the nation in service every year. But it did happen here. And it was one of us. But I want you to look at how Utahns reacted the last 2 nights. There was no rioting. There was no looting. There were no cars set on fire. There was no violence. There were vigils and prayers and people coming together to share the humanity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, I believe is the answer to this. We can return violence with violence. We can return hate with hate. And that's the problem with political violence, is it metastasizes, because we can always point the finger at the other side. And at some point, we have to find an off-ramp, or it's going to get much, much worse. But see, these are choices that we can make. History will dictate if this is a turning point for our country. But every single one of us gets to choose right now if this is a turning point for us. We get to make decisions. We have our agency. And I desperately call on every American, Republican, Democrat, liberal, progressive, conservative, MAGA, all of us to please, please, please follow what Charlie taught me. I'll just conclude with words I share often from a friend and author, Yuval Levin, who was asked if he was optimistic about our country. And he said, I'm not optimistic. He said, I hate optimism. Like, that sounds bad. But he said, optimism is a vice. It's this idea that good things are just going to happen. And he said, in the history of the world, good things have never just happened. He says, I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. And Hope is the virtue that sits between the vices of optimism and pessimism. Hope is the idea that good things are going to happen because we can make them so. I still believe in our country, and I know Charlie Kirk believed in our country. I still believe that there is more good among us than evil. And I still believe that we can change the course of history. I'm hopeful because Americans can make it so. Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
Governor, can you please speak to whether the suspect is speaking with authorities and his demeanor, Tyler Robinson, when he turned himself in?
I cannot speak to that right now.
Governor, how do you interpret the engravings on casing?
Well, I will leave that up to you to interpret what those engravings mean. I think the clearest one that says "catch fascist," there's not, and by the way, that's like catch like a ball, catch this. That's I think that speaks for itself.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating.
Please.
Talked about this level of hatred that this person expressed. Beyond that, is there anything in your view that you discovered that may have radicalized or changed him to prompt him to commit such a horrific?
There's nothing more that we can share at this time.
Governor, you indicated that he had been communicating with a friend on Discord about the gun. Do you anticipate any more arrests?
We do not at this time have any information that would lead to any additional arrests.
Do you believe he acted alone?
Yes, but the investigation is ongoing.
How he came into custody of police and where he is right now?
Yes, so right now, Mr. Robinson has been booked into the Utah County Jail. You heard the president this morning report that he was taken into custody, that his family and a friend helped to deliver him into custody of law enforcement in Washington County. For those of you that don't know where Washington County is, it is the southwesternmost part of the state of Utah. It's about a 3.5 to 4 hour drive from here, where we are right now, and that's where he lived and where they turned him in. Please, go here. I can't share any more than what I've already shared. Yeah. So how we obtained the gun? The gun was found here. So I don't have much more details on that. We do know that he drove. We had his car here on campus, and then we had his car going south back to the St. George. It's actually the city of Washington in Washington County.
Is he talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I'm sorry? We don't have any information that would lead us to believe that. Yes, in fact, it was just released. Yes.
Talking with authorities and did he discuss a motive?
I can't answer that right now. Yeah, thank you. Over here. I absolutely believe that this is a watershed in American history. Yes. The question is, what kind of watershed? And that chapter remains to be written. Is this the end of a dark chapter in our history, or the beginning of a darker chapter in our history? Look, I mean, if you look at true political assassinations in this country of someone of this stature, this feels a lot like the late 60s, and having one so gruesomely displayed on camera in all of our hands and in all of our pockets. We are not wired as human beings biologically, historically. We have not evolved in a way that we are capable of processing those types of violent imagery. And by the way, we've seen another one with a gruesome stabbing very recently that went viral. This is not good for us. It is not good to consume. Social media is a cancer. on our society right now. And I would encourage people to log off, turn off, touch grass, hug a family member, go out and do good in your community. That is happening, and it's happening organically right now. I had a friend in a small city in Utah who said, we're getting together. The Republicans and Democrats in my little town are getting together to have a discussion last night, just to find a way to find their better angels. So yes, this could be. I mean, again, you have to go back to JFK to have seen a video live of something like this happening. I wasn't born until 1975, but I know that things were really dark in the late 60s. Sorry to some of you. I know some of you were there. This is our moment. Do we escalate, or do we find an off-ramp? And again, it's a choice. It's a choice, and every one of us gets to make that choice. Two more questions right here.
Could we clarify that the release of those enhanced images at 8 p.m., the timeline that Director Patel gave us, led to the arrest at 10 p.m.? Is there a direct connection between those two events?
I cannot comment if there is a direct connection or not, but all I can say is that through some process, the family came to know that this had happened.
One more thing, Governor. Could you just clarify the clothing issue you mentioned earlier? Was he changing outfits?
Correct. Yes. So when he's first spotted on campus, he has different clothing on, and then he changes clothing on the roof, and then changed back into that clothing at some point, so that when he was apprehended, when he was arrested, the clothing matched the clothing he had on before the shooting here at UVU. Last question here. Yes.
The suspect was from Utah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit more about where, and was he a student here at this university, and is there any history of mental illness?
Yeah. So I don't have any information on the mental illness part. He was not a student here at UVU. He was living and had lived for a long time with his family in Washington County, in the southernmost part of our state. Thank you, everyone, for your great work in getting this information out. I would just say, process-wise, this may be important. I know many of you aren't familiar with the process in Utah. I think it's important that you understand that. Basically, we have 3 days for charging documents to be filed. A CI will be filed. We'll have more information then, more detailed information, as those charging documents are filed in preparation for a preliminary hearing. So 3 days. So we would anticipate then that early next week those charging documents will be filed. We will obviously be working. The county attorney will be working very closely with Mr. Kirk's family as those documents and decisions are prepared and made. Thanks, everyone.
Well, as you actually probably saw during the press conference, a pop-up photo of the suspect's mugshot. Yeah, apparently that's what he looks like. I heard that in Utah they do still have the death penalty, and I have heard that they are planning on making this a death penalty case. So, with that said, I do hope that Charlie Kirk's shooter, he finds God before he gets executed, because from my understanding, us as human beings, since I am a Christian, we cannot judge. God actually tells us to hate the sin but love the sinner. So yeah, from what he did was despicable. It was out of hatred. His sinful act of shooting Charlie Kirk should not be forgiven. But for him as a sinner, we should actually forgive him, because from what the governor of Utah said, when you forgive your enemies, that's when you win, because they hate that. They want you to hate them. They want to separate you from everyone else. They want to keep us separate. But if we all come together and we show him that, no, we're not going to forgive his act, but we will forgive him as a person, then that will actually show that we have won, because we're doing what our lovely Father, Heavenly Father above, told us to do. And yeah, with that said, please keep Erica, Charlie's wife, and his 2 kids in your prayers. They need all the they need all the strength from God to get through this, especially with the legal paperwork that's going to be processed, like from what the governor said. Since there's 3 days in Utah, I'm recording this in Texas, but I have, as a Texan, I have great respect for every state's government, every governor's. I have friends in every state. I have one friend in Massachusetts, one friend in Indiana. I have I don't know if I still talk to them, but I have one that's all the way in Oregon. Which I'm probably still friends with them. I just haven't talked to them in a while. But yeah, I have friends all over the place, and I have tremendous respect for our government, for Donald Trump. God bless him, because I think he's doing a fantastic job. And from the action of the extreme left, they have from their actions, they have forced me to basically lean more right than I have ever leaned. I'm actually now thinking of actually becoming a full Republican, all because of the way they're acting. I know the elite Democrats, like Obama, Biden, which some people say that they don't know if it was actually Biden or Biden's estate that said it, but they both condemned this action of the shooter, and I applaud them for doing so. They actually condemned it along with Donald Trump, and I commend them for doing that. It was really heartwarming to hear that they even condemned this action. So the elite Democrats condemned this action. The elitist left, they're the ones celebrating. If y'all want to actually look up their videos on X and Blue Sky, go right ahead. I don't even want to actually watch their videos at all. I don't, because like I said, I don't even condone that behavior either. Because death should never be celebrated, no matter who it is. And like the governor said, our minds are not capable of understanding gruesome sights of like what happened to Charlie. Social media has become a cancer. And I actually would say that it's actually high time that we probably all log off of social media, go out and touch grass, hug a loved one, just like what he said, and get our lives back, because social media has taken our lives for so long. We need to log off for a while. And then when we come back, we'll be able to come back more clear-headed and minds all focused and everything, and be better for it. Now, will this channel be a complete political channel? No, it will not. I do not like talking about politics, not one bit. But I will have these type of videos pop up every now and then. I will also, hopefully, the more I actually grow on here, maybe, hopefully, I'll actually be able to get a Zoom account and do some online debating with some of the younger students in these universities, just like what Charlie did. But I really don't want to start going to those places because of what happened to him. Especially since I know that there's probably a bigger target on my back because I'm a detransitioner. Because now, since I'm actually back in reality and whatnot, the transgender community doesn't like that, and they would want to see me dead, quite literally. But I will also be doing gaming videos, and when I do the gaming videos, I will basically just chat with you, chat and just basically talk about whatever. Really, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the game, but it's not going to be about politics. It will be, in the comments below, whatever you would want me to talk about in my future videos, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to accommodate y'all suggestions. And I will actually say this, since I am a brand new YouTuber, content creator. If I ever see any negative comments, I will not delete them. I will not reply with hateful rhetoric towards the negative comment, but I will reply to them with kindness, love, and respect, because I am not a hateful person. So I don't, even though I don't condone negativity, not even on my comments, I will allow it, but I will still be respectful, no matter what. I kind of let this video go for an hour. I did not mean to let it go this long. But please leave me a like to help this video in the YouTube algorithm. I don't know how long YouTube's going to last now, because I've been hearing that YouTube's been having some trouble. So if my YouTube career is short, hopefully I have done hopefully my videos have spread to as many people as possible before YouTube is no more. And so that I will actually know that I have done my job. And like I said, please leave a comment. Please subscribe. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye.